These pretty little socks are for ages 2 to 4 years old, and I used Patons yarn and Yarnspirations pattern. You will need a size D 3.25 crochet hook. For this project, I'm using Patons Kroy Socks. It's a weight size 1, very fine, and it is 75% washable wool and 25% nylon. And this color is Sweet Stripes, which I thought reminded me of Easter. You are going to need a measuring tape, some stitch markers. You may want to cut some pieces of yarn from a contrasting color if you have any. It works better than the markers because the stitches are so tiny. And you are going to need your scissors, of course, and a blunt eye needle for weaving in any ends. And there you have it. Let's get started. So the first part of the sock we're going to be working on is the cuff. Okay? And we're going to be doing this in sections. We'll be doing the cuff, and then this section here, the heel, this section in here, and then down to the toe. So the first section is the cuff. First thing you want to do is your slip stitch. This is how I do mine a lot of the time. Okay, now we're going to chain 11. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now what we're going to do is single crochets, starting with a second chain from the hook. Now a lot of times you would go in right here, but we're going to turn this around and go inside the hump on the back. So we're going to go into this hump right here, and we're going to do our single crochet. Bring the yarn back through, bring the yarn back through here, and go all the way to the back by doing the single crochets underneath the little humps right here. It's a little hard to hold in the beginning because it's so small. Okay, again, see the difference? There's that side and then a little hump on the back. And if you want to, you can put a stitch marker in that first single crochet that you did, working your way back. All right, so I just did my last single crochet, and if you count all the way back to the stitch marker, you should have 10 single crochets. At this point, you want to turn your work, and we're going to single crochet going back the other way. And the first thing that we're going to do is chain 1. Oops, let's get that out of the way. There we go. Okay, finally, go ahead and chain 1. And we're going to do our single crochets on the back loop. And that would be this one right here. In your V, you have a front loop and a back loop, and I'm going into the back loop, and I'm going to single crochet all the way down to the end. And again, at this point, I'm going to do one more here, right there into the back. Do your single crochet, and I'm going to grab, I'm just going to pull that out, another stitch marker, just to make life easier. And I'm going to put that into the top of that first single crochet. So now you want to just continue on all the way down to the end with your single crochets. And we ultimately want to get this piece 6.5 inches. Actually, you want to stop at 6 inches and then see if you can stretch it to 6.5. So this is the cuff, this section right here, and all the way around it comes out to 6.5 inches when stretched. So what I've done here is I've made my cuff 6 inches long, and if you just stretch it a little bit, it comes out to 6.5. Now I made one sock and I'm making the second sock, but I highly recommend you going ahead and taking that second ball of yarn at this point and make the second cuff. I actually counted my rows here to see if they came out about the same, and they're almost exactly the same. But each section of this sock is intricate and detailed, and it might be easier if you just do each section for each sock at the same time. Your memory's fresher because you just finished doing that section, and it'll probably take less time. Just a suggestion. So now what we're going to do is we're going to connect these two ends together, and we're going to start by chaining one at this end, and you want to turn it this way, bring up the other end. I'm going to go through those two strands right there where my thumb is pointing, and first I'm going to go under that last single crochet, the back loop of it, and then because this is kind of tight, I'm going to take the point of my crochet hook to get under those two strands right there. Then I'm going to pull up my yarn. I'm going to go back through them, and then I'm going to go through the two strands on the hook. First that one, and this one here. Okay, now we're going to go to the next single crochet, go through the back loop. Again, go through the two strands. So that you're under both strands. Pull up your yarn, go back through, and go back through that one, and bring it through the one on the hook. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to go through the back loop, go through the two strands, pull up the yarn, come back through, whoops, pull up the yarn, come back through, go through that one, and go through that one. Okay, I want you to go ahead and complete this all the way down to the end, and I'll meet you down at the end once you get here. Do it looser, but I've got one left here to go underneath the back loop and go under these two right here and pull it through and pull it through that one and the last loop on the hook. Okay, so this is going to be the inside of our sock. We're going to turn this right side out. Now what you can do if you want to go ahead and weave that end on the inside, you just weave it through here. Just go in and out and get rid of that straggler, or you can leave it there for now and weave it in at the end. Okay, now what we're going to do is single crochet 35 single crochets around the top edge of this cuff. This is actually the bottom edge, I should say. And what I've done is counted my ridges, the high part and the low part, to see if I had 35, but I had 38. So you're just going to have to improvise a little bit, since these aren't exact stitches that you're doing your single crochets with. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and do a chain 1 and start your single crochets. I'm going to go ahead and start in that first ridge, that high ridge. Make sure you grab a couple pieces of yarn to go under. See that you don't want just one strand. You want to make sure you go under 2 strands. So that makes it more secure and it doesn't stretch it out. And you might want to go until you get halfway, or about halfway, and just take a look at it and count your stitches, your single crochets, and see if it looks like you're going to come around to the end with 35. And just do that periodically. Make sure you're at the right point. It's not very hard. So I've finished my 35 single crochets all the way around. Now I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that first single crochet. So go underneath the 2 loops, pull up your yarn, come back through and come through the loop on the hook. Alright, so now we've done a slip stitch. I'm going to take this out. We're going to use our marker, and we're going to put our marker, since this is the end of that round, we're going to go right in here where we did our slip stitch. And we're going to take our stitch marker and we're just going to bring it through. Okay. So that was the end of our round. And you see where I've got the stitch marker. All right, now we're going to put our hook right back in. And we're going to chain 1. And we're going to go right back in to that same single crochet. And we're going to do a single crochet all the way around, and you should have 35 when you're done. Go into the next one. So just keep doing your single crochets all the way around, going under the 2 loops of your V, and make sure that you do count them and that you have 35 stitches, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so now we're doing the next round, and we've come back around. That was our stitch marker, and that was the slip stitch. So now we're going to go into the top of the single crochet, first single crochet of that round. That was my chain 1. So we're going to go under here, the first single crochet, and we're going to slip stitch, and we're going to chain 1, and we're going to continue around. So now we go into that same single crochet, the same spot that you just did your slip stitch, and you go in there and you do your single crochet. Okay, and so you want to continue around, and you should have 35 when you're done. You can move your stitch marker up if you'd like to. And so ideally what you want at this point is you want to get up to 2 inches. So this is where your stitch marker is. And this is where we are working. So this is that sock. And this part right here this is the 2 inches. So you keep going around until this reaches the 2 inches right here. Okay, so this is my last row. I've got my 2 inches. My stitch marker came out from down here, but it's starting from there to here. I've got my 2 inches, and I'm just going to finish this row by going into that first single crochet and doing a slip stitch. Okay, and then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to go right back into that first single crochet and do a single crochet. And this is the first one of this next section. We're going to do 17 altogether, so that's 1. And I'm going to do 16 more all the way across, and I'll meet you where we end up at the 17. So I've come around, I've got my 17 stitches. I went ahead and put my stitch marker in on that first single crochet. And you're going to turn your work, and you're going to work back from here back to here doing single crochets. Now remember, don't make the mistake that I kept making, and I was going into the next single crochet, but you have to chain 1, and then you have to go back inside that same first single crochet to do your next single crochet. Okay, and then just keep going around all the way to the end, and I'll meet you down here. Okay, so now we're going to turn our work, and this next row is going to be slightly different. The first thing you want to do is chain 1 and go into that first single crochet, make another single crochet. But the next one you're going to go down a row. You're not going to go into that single crochet there. You're going to go down 1 row. Go in there. This is called a long single crochet. And go ahead and continue making that. Then when you go to the next one, it's in that previous row. Go ahead and do a single crochet there. And then the next one is going to be 1 row down, and so this is going to be your long single crochet. So you're going to alternate all the way across. Okay, so it's going to be a short single crochet and a long single crochet. And you're going to continue this all the way down to the end until you have to turn again. I'm going to do 1 more long single crochet. Okay, so now we have finished that row 3 doing the short and the long single crochets, and we're going to turn our work and go back the other way. Now this row we're going to do our single crochets all the way across, and then when we come back again we're going to do the short and the long single crochets. And you want to do this until this reaches 1 3/4 inch from where we started, right here. So it's going to be 1 3/4 inch, and I will meet you back when we have finished our 1 3/4 inch. Okay, so I have finished part of the heel here, and that was 1 3/4, and we are almost like right on the money there. And you want to end up on the right side of your project, and this is your right side. You're going to turn your work, and you're going to chain 1, going to go into that single, chain 1, going to go into that first loop, and we're going to do 9 single crochets. Once we get to the 9th one, we're going to single crochet 2 together 2 times. All right, that's number 2. Three, and I'm doing my 9th one. All right, now you want to single crochet 2 together. So you insert your hook, pull up the loop, hold it, go into the next one, pull up your loop. You have 3 loops on your hook, pull up your yarn and go through all 3 loops on the hook. Okay, and then do that again. Go through, pull up the yarn, hold it, go through, pull up the yarn, hold it, 3 loops on the hook, pull up the yarn, go through all 3 loops. All right, now we're going to turn our work. We're going to chain 1, and we are going to do 3 single crochets. There's 1, and 2, and 3. Then do 2 single crochets together. 1, hold it, next one, hold it, go through all 3. Do it again, in, hold it, in, hold it, go through all 3. Okay. Okay, now we're on our 3rd row. I've turned the work around again, going to chain 1. Now we're going to do 5 single crochets. So the first one, second one, right here, the 5th one, now since seems that we have run out of room, but we're actually going to do 2 together in these next 4. So starting with this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to do 2 together and 2 together. So go right into here, pull it through, hold it, go into the next one, pull the yarn through, hold it. You've got your 3 loops on your hook, pull it through all 3. Okay, let's do that one more time. Hold it, the last one, hold it, 3 loops on the hook, pull up your yarn, go through all 3 loops on the hook. All right, this is starting to look funky, but this is what's giving it the heel shape, okay? Okay, so we have finished. We're going to turn our work again, and this time we're going to do 7 single crochets, and then right here we're going to do 2 single crochets together. All right, so do what you've been doing before. Chain up 1, and we're going to do 7 of these. This is 1 and 2, 6 and 7. Okay, and now we're going to jump right over to these last 4, and we're going to do our togethers. So here's 1, oops, 3 on the hook, and do that one more time. Boom, and boom. Oops. Okay, so you see how this is starting to cup for the heel. I went ahead and pulled my hook out because before we start on the next step, I want to go ahead and put a little stitch marker into that last stitch that we did so that we know that this is the end of this row, just to make things a little bit easier here. So I'm just going to put my hook under there and just grab your little stitch marker, and you can use those, you know, paper clip, whatever you got. Okay. All right, I'm just going to put that in there, and then I'm going to put this back in here. Okay, now we're going to stitch down this side here. We're going to do 11 stitches. We're going to stitch right across here, and then we're going to come right back up this side. So first we're going to chain 1, and you're going to have to judge because we don't have stitches here to go in. So you're just going to have to judge. So, you know, your 5th stitch should be somewhere around there. And so just go ahead and start doing a single crochet. This is my first one. So you see here, you see where you've got your stitch marker, that was your chain 1, and that's your first single crochet. All right, that's 1 and 2, and let's do 10 right in here. And I'm going to do 11 right here. Okay, so now make sure you have 2 stitch markers. Okay, and again, you want to have a contrasting color. For some reason, I keep grabbing a piece of yarn that has a similar color. And go ahead and I've done my 11 down the side. I'll feed you in just a minute. Okay. And I want you to take your stitch marker, and I want you to put it in that last stitch right there. Put your hook in there. Okay, here we go. Now what we need to do is we need to stitch, oops, 18 across. Made that a little bit longer than I needed to. And I'm going to start in this one here. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to count 18 across. Make sure that this comes out to 18. I think on mine I'm going to end up maybe right here. Okay, so what you want to do is just do single crochets all the way across. And like I said, I'm going to start right here. I'm going to start with that one. Let's tighten that up. Okay. So we're going to go like this. And just go all the way across. I'm going to meet you down at the end. Okay, so I've done all my 18 stitches all the way across, and I just pulled my hook out, and I'm going to take my other stitch marker, and I'm going to put it right here in that 18th stitch. Okay, now what we're going to do is stitch up the side. Okay, now we're going to stitch up the side. We're going to do 11 stitches, and just like the other side, we have to just kind of judge. But I will tell you that when we get up here, we're going to be going into these 9 single crochets. And so you want to make sure you come up here, come up to this point where you have your 9th one, which I think is that one. So just count 9. Remember, this was the last one that we did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you actually want to do 11 stitches all the way up to there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So you're going to have to kind of judge where it's at. So just start doing your 11 single crochets. And this is 2. Okay, and I figure maybe my 5th one needs to be maybe up around there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 9. 10. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11. 11's going to go right there. Okay, so now we're going to start here. There's my 9th one. We're going to do 9 all the way across. 8. Okay, and now you're going to go into that 9th one. Okay, so now you've come all the way across up to this point. And so now I'm going to just take this, since this was the last stitch before we connect this, I'm going to go ahead and use my stitch marker to keep my place. As I go around. And then what you want to do is you want to slip stitch to that first single crochet, which is this one, because that one there was a chain stitch. So this is your first single crochet. And so you're going to go ahead and go in and slip stitch to connect this. Stop here and count your stitches. You must have 49 stitches at this point. Okay, and now you want to chain 1. And we're going to single crochet all the way till we get to 2 chains, or two of the spots, 2 stitches prior to the marker. Okay. Okay, so now I've got 2 stitches before the marker. We're going to do single crochet together. Go into that loop, pick it up, stop, go into the next loop, pick it up. You've got 3 loops on your hook. Pull it up and go through all 3 loops. Okay, you see where we're at? Now that we've come to our stitch marker, we're going to just do a regular single crochet right in here. right where the stitch marker is. And just do your regular single crochet, and then pull your hook out so that you can grab, put your hook behind here, grab your stitch marker and pull it through. All right, and we're going to continue to do this. Put your hook back in, and go ahead and continue stitching all the way to the next stitch marker, and when you get to the next stitch marker, I'll meet you there. I'll do a couple first, so we just go right in here. Just keep doing your single crochets. And I will meet you when you get to this point. We've come to the stitch marker on the other side. You see where we're at here. You want to go ahead and do a regular single crochet. And you want to get in there like that. Do your regular single crochet. Pull up your thread. I know this is time consuming, but this is what helps you. Okay, grab your stitch marker, pull it through, and then come back around. Put your hook back in. Move your stitch marker out of the way. Now we're going to do two together. Now we're going to do two together single crochet, just like we did on the other side. So you go into that first one, pull up the yarn, hold it, go into the next one, pull up the yarn, and go through 3 loops. Now you see on this side, this is a pattern here. So we stopped here and we did our 2 together on this side before we got to the stitch marker. And then on this side, we did our 2 together after the stitch marker, okay? So that it's balanced on both sides. The 2 together are right above the stitch markers. So continue doing your single crochets at this point. And just keep going. I'll meet you at that next stitch marker. All right, so I've come all the way around to my stitch marker, and if you remember, we put the stitch marker in the last stitch of the previous row. So we're going to go ahead and do our last single crochet right there. Missed a stitch, there we go. Now, we have to do a slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet because this was our slip stitch here, this was our chain, and this was our first single crochet that we did. So before we do that, go ahead and grab your stitch marker. And so you'll always know that every row you have put your stitch marker in your last single crochet of that row. Okay. And then come right back and put your hook right back in. Tighten it up. Okay, so now here is your first single crochet, and that's where you want to slip stitch. So you're going to go in here, and you can see how it looks different. And do your slip stitch. Stop here again and count your stitches. You should now have 47 stitches. Continue each row as you have been until you get down to 35 stitches. Once you've reached your 35 stitches, we will continue on with the next row. Okay, so now we've come around. We've got our 35 stitches going all the way around this opening of the sock. Put my stitch marker up here. Now we're going to go ahead into our, we're going to do our slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet from the previous row. Okay, again, you have that stitch there. You've got a slip stitch, and there's actually a chain one in there. It got kind of tight. I had to back out. Go in here, go ahead and do your slip stitch. Okay, do your chain one. And go ahead and do your single crochet in that same spot again. Okay, so this time you're going to continue to single crochet all the way around. And you're not going to stop and move your stitch marker, you're just going to keep going. All the way around. Just go ahead and go in there, do your single crochet. Don't even bother moving your stitch marker, just keep going. Okay, so just keep continuing all the way around. And when you get back over here, when you come back, we're going to do 2 single crochet, 2 together after we come back all the way around up to this point. And our last 2 stitches, we did our single crochet all the way around. Our last 2 stitches are single crochet, 2 together. Go in, pull up your yarn, hold it, and go in, pull up your yarn, hold it, and go in through all 3. I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker, and I'm going to put it into this last stitch right here so that I know that that is my last stitch from the previous row. Now you're going to go right over to your first single crochet from the previous row, and you're going to slip stitch. And you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to single crochet into that same stitch. And you're just going to continue all the way around. Just your single crochets all the way around. Okay, and then you're going to continue this until you want to measure until it's 3.5 inches from the bottom of your stitch marker. That's why you want to keep this in. Okay, let me get to the right stitch marker here. Okay, so you want this to be 3.5 inches from the bottom of that stitch marker all the way up to there. You can probably judge it from here too. 3.5 inches. Okay. Okay, so I've got my 3.5 inches. Okay. So I'm good to go. Or I can do it from here. My 3.5 inches. Okay, it's close enough. Now what you want to do is you want to open up your sock so that it's flat. So this piece where you kept doing your slip stitch is kind of centered. Okay, and you want it just like so. And you want to take your stitch markers, go ahead and pull them out at this point. You don't need them anymore, but you are going to use them on your sides. Okay, so now that you've got this here, you want to get this completely centered and flat right here. And then you're going to take your stitch marker and your cat's tail. So you want to take your stitch marker and you want to go in this end, grab it, pull it through. Okay, and take your other one and do it on the other side. Okay, this is the easiest way to, you should have about the same number of stitches going around. Okay, and it doesn't, in this case, it doesn't have to be exact. We're just going to reduce. Okay. Get it, kitty. Get it, Mittens. Get it. Okay, we did our slip stitch, brought that together. We'll take this out last. You've got your stitch markers in. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is chain 1. And we're going to single crochet into that same spot. And go ahead and single crochet up until 2 spaces before you get to the stitch marker. Okay, so now, whoops. So right here, we're 2 stitches prior to our stitch marker, so you want to single crochet 2 together. That's the first one. That's the second one. 3 loops on the hook and pull it through. Okay, and then you're going to do it in the next 2. So pull up a loop, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, and go all the way through. All right, now you want to continue till you get to your next stitch marker, and you're going to do the same thing again. So go ahead and single crochet around. And you will want to go ahead and put your stitch marker right back through as you do this. Okay. All right, so continue single crochet until you get to your next stitch marker. So here we are at our next stitch marker. We're going to do the same thing. So we've got 2 stitches prior to the stitch marker, okay? So you want to go in and single crochet 2 together. That was 1 and 2. Oops. And then go through all 3. Okay. All right, now you're going to go right into this one here where your stitch marker is. Pull it up, go into the next one, pull up your loop, and then go through all 3. Okay, pull that out, grab your stitch marker, and just bring it through. Okay, and then you want to continue all the way, single crochets to here, and then you're going to slip stitch into the top of your single crochet from the first row. And then we're going to do the same thing again. So go ahead and continue to single crochet all the way over to the end. And then when you've come back to the beginning here where you're single crochet, you want to slip stitch. So you've got your last one. Do a slip stitch into the top. And then chain 1. Do another single crochet. And single crochet all the way till you get to 2 spots, 2 stitches prior to your stitch marker. You'll do single crochet 2 together, single crochet 2 together, move your stitch marker up, do that on the other side here. And you want to keep doing this pattern until you have 14 stitches left. And then we will close the toe. So I will meet you when we have 14 stitches left total. Okay. So we're at the top. We should have just 14 stitches left at the top. And I did my slip stitch to the first single crochet of the previous row to finish that off. And we're just going to pull that out and cut it. Pull it through. Now go ahead and pull these out. You don't need these anymore. And you can pull out this one too. And now we're going to get our needle and we are going to weave in the ends. And I'll show you how to do that next. So now we're just going to take our needle. I think I should have gotten a smaller one, but you just start to weave in. Turn the sock around and start weaving on the other side. So I'm just catching the pieces of yarn on each side. And you just want to do this as smoothly as possible. And I'm going to just go ahead and go over the other couple of stitches that I made before. And then once I get to the end, I'll go ahead and weave long ways just to secure it a little bit more. So I'll just turn it this way, and I'm going to weave down through the length of the stitches pretty much. Pull it through, come back the other way, because we know how toes like to make holes in socks. So we want to get this as good as we can. If I can get the needle in. There it goes. I used the wrong size needle for this. I should have grabbed a smaller one. Wouldn't be so hard to push it through. And one more time through a couple more threads, or yarn threads. I'm going to go ahead and cut it now. And if you have any other stragglers that you need to weave in, go ahead and do the same thing. So I'm just going to weave in my little straggler here. And because it's the same color, I'm not too worried about it showing on the other side. Again, just go through a couple of strands of yarn. You just want to do it a few times so it's in there nice and secure. And I'm just kind of weaving through a couple on there, just checking the back. Again, I used a needle that was a little bit too big at the end there. I couldn't find my other thinner needle at the time. So please use a needle that doesn't give you a hard time like this one's giving me. But go ahead, and once you get it all threaded through, you can just take your scissors and cut it, and you're good to go. Here we go. And there's your sock. And there's your little toddler sock. Okay? If you enjoyed watching this, please give me a thumbs up. It'll help other people when they're searching for special crochet projects. And if you want to see more crochet projects, please subscribe, and you'll get notifications every time I do a new project. My goal is to do one a week, so hopefully we'll have something good to show you next time. Thanks again for watching.